There are currently 10 million cards sitting in PSA's grading queue, and as of this week, they've closed the door. On May 28, PSA announced that effective June 2, they are temporarily pausing new submissions across all 4 of their most popular and most affordable grading tiers: Value Bulk, Value, Value Plus, and Value Max. If you've ever graded a card or been thinking about it, this affects you. If you sell grader cards, hold slabs in your collection, or buy them on the secondary market, this affects you as well. This is the biggest grading news since the COVID boom. So in this video, I want to break it down for you. What changed, why it happened, who it hits the hardest, and what your options look like from here. Now let's get into it. From June 2nd, if you try to submit to any of those tiers, you simply can't. The door is shut until further notice. The tiers that are still open are Regular at $79.99, Express at $175, Super Express at around $349, and Walkthrough above that. And PSA has actually extended the regular turnaround time as well. From 30 to 40 days, it's now sitting at 40 to 50 days. So the cheapest option you have at PSA right now is $80 per card, and you're waiting up to 50 days. If that number gives you a pause, you're not alone. And to be clear, any cards that are already in the system are still being processed under the turnaround times that they were submitted at. So existing orders are not being affected. PSA has been firm on that. Why did this happen? Because this didn't come from nowhere. Now let me walk you through how we actually got here. PSA's active queue had grown to nearly 10 million cards. To put it into perspective, PSA grades roughly 90,000 cards a day. They have 5 times the grading capacity they had back in 2021, and they still could not keep up with the volume coming in. The immediate trigger was actually a positive announcement, which I think backfired. On May 14, PSA announced a $200 million infrastructure investment, new facilities, machine learning logistics, and plans to hire around 1,000 new staff throughout 2026. The idea was to signal that PSA was getting ahead of the problem. But what actually happened? I think collectors panicked, fearing things might get worse before they got better. Many people rushed to submit cards before any changes landed. In the 2 weeks following that announcement, submissions spiked 20%. That added another 1.6 million cards to the queue. PSA made an announcement designed to build confidence, and it caused the exact problem they were trying to prevent. The backlog had been building for months before this. Value bulk turnaround times had already climbed from around 90 days to 140 to 160 days by May. That alone should have been a warning sign. And the big driver of all of this volume are TCG cards, specifically Pokémon. PSA and CGC combined graded over 2 million TCG cards in April alone. The first week of May was reported as the highest single grading week in PSA's history. The TCG hobby has generated a volume that the system hasn't been able to absorb. So who does this affect? Let's talk about who actually takes the hit here, because it's not the same for everyone. The group that feels this most immediately are vendors and small businesses that grade low-end cards at volume. And let me specify what that means, because it's not just people pulling chase cards from booster boxes. There's a whole side of the graded card market built around affordable liquid cards. Think your Pokémon cards like EXs, lower-end SIRs, illustration rares, cards that sell quickly and consistently because they're accessible and affordable. The business model there isn't about finding a $1,000 PSA 10 card. It's about grading 100 cards, selling each one for a modest profit, and turning that inventory over fast. The margins are smaller, but the volume makes it work. When your grading cost jumps from $25 to $80 per card overnight, that entire model breaks. The numbers just don't add up anymore. The eBay store sellers are a big part of this too. A lot of people run card stores on eBay, operate exactly this way. They might open packs, buy collections of other collectors, pull out anything gradable, submit them all in bulk, and sell the slabs quickly at a small margin. It's essentially a small business built on the value bulk tier existing. Without it, the inventory pipeline stalls. And then there's the Australian market that specifically is worth calling out, where I'm from. Here in Australia, a lot of local card stores and hobby shops act as a grading middleman. Customers bring in their cards, the store batches them up and handles the PSA submission on their behalf. And the vast majority of those customers are using value bulk tier because it's the only affordable option. That service is now gone. So it's not just about the store that gets affected, it's every regular customer who relied on that middleman service to get their cards graded without having access to submissions themselves. Those customers now need to find a completely different solution, if any, and most of them don't have one lined up. For your casual collectors, people who occasionally grade a card they love, the impact is more about timing and cost. You either pay more to do it now, or you wait. Collectors Club members are worth noting separately. Value bulk tier was their core membership benefit. PSA has confirmed they'll extend every active Collectors Club membership at no extra cost. And on the buying side, if you purchase graded cards, the supply of freshly graded modern PSA 10s is going to slow down over the coming months. That matters for prices, and I'll get to that in a moment. Now, here's a part of the story I think has been underreported, and it's important, because it wasn't just PSA. Around the same time as PSA's announcement, CGC, the second largest option for TCG grading, updated their turnaround times on their website. No formal announcement, the published times just quietly changed. CGC's bulk tier is now sitting at around 120 business days. Their economy tier is around 65 business days. It's worth knowing before you assume CGC is a quick fix. It's not entirely clear whether CGC updated their times in direct response to PSA's news, or whether that update was already in the pipeline. What is clear is that the timing landed on the same day, and the numbers on this side reflect a service that's also under significant pressure. You have Tag Grading, one of the newest services. They did make an official announcement. They confirmed that the Express tier was closed at capacity. This came after their basic and standard tiers had already filled earlier the same month. And then you have BGS and SGC, both of which are now owned by the same parent company as PSA, namely Collectors Holdings. They have also extended their own turnaround times. BGS is sitting 75 or more days at base tier. SGC moved from 15 to 20 days all the way to 40 and 50 days earlier in the year. The reality right now is affordable bulk grading is not readily available anywhere. PSA's minimum now is at $80 per card. Everything else is either slow or pause. This is an industry-wide pressure. It's not just a PSA problem. So what does this mean for graded card prices? The short answer is, it depends entirely on which cards you're talking about. For example, high population modern base cards, the economics are going to get worse. When grading costs $80 or more, the card needs to sell for way above that in a PSA 10 to justify it. A lot of modern base PSA 10s don't have that margin, so two things can happen. Either people pay higher prices, or they actually tank because no one is willing to pay higher than they have to move inventory. If you're planning to run a bulk modern base grading operation, the numbers have changed and it's worth recalculating before you commit. So let's be practical for a second. What options do we have from here? Well, option 1, we wait for PSA value tiers to reopen. PSA has said the pause is tied to cutting the backlog from 10 million cards down to 5 million. They estimate around 4 months. They've launched a monthly backlog tracker on the website with live numbers so you can see the progress yourself. Option 2, use PSA regular at $80 per card. This makes sense if the card has a realistic path to PSA 10 and the PSA 10 market value is meaningfully above the cost. A rough minimum threshold, the card needs to sell for around, I would say, $250 plus USD or more in the PSA 10 for this to make any financial sense. Only submit what genuinely justifies it. Option 3, you actually have CGC. They're still open. They're independently owned, not part of the Collectors Holding Group, and their bulk tier is sitting around $17 per card. But the trade-off is real. PSA 10s consistently command a 10 to 30% premium over CGC 10s on the secondary market for most Pokémon cards. But the gap varies by card. So for cards you're collecting rather than flipping, CGC is absolutely a valid choice. For cards you're grading to sell, Do your own research and homework before committing. And the last option, which I think doesn't really change, is you can still buy existing slabs. If you want a specific card in a PSA 10, buying an already graded copy might actually be faster and more predictable than going through the submission process over the next 4 to 6 months. And depending on the card, it might even be cheaper once you factor in grading costs and wait time. And one specific note for Australian collectors, we're already absorbing international shipping costs and customs when sending to PSA or any grading company overseas. With value tiers paused, the minimum PSA spend is now at $80 USD per card. So it might be a little higher if you're using a middleman service. One option you have is to support your local Australian grading companies like ARC or TCG Grading. Also, CGC is worth looking at as well. Now, to be fair to PSA, they haven't just announced a pause and gone silent. They've committed to a monthly backlog tracker with live numbers. They've said the reopening is tied to hitting a specific milestone, cutting the backlog in half, not to an arbitrary date. Collector Club memberships are being extended for the full duration of the pause at no extra cost. And the $200 million investment is described as fully funded and on track. So what I say at the time of filming this, the 4-month timeline is an estimate. It could be shorter if output ramps faster than expected. It could be longer if demand remains as high as it's been. Watch the backlog tracker and don't assume a firm reopening date until PSA announces one. So just to close off, for most TCG collectors, especially Australian collectors, the value tier pause changes the numbers quite significantly. Submitting to PSA regular at $80 only makes sense for cards with a clear premium PSA 10 market value. Everything else, CGC is your best working option right now, or if Australia, your local grading companies. If you hold existing PSA 10 slabs, this news is not really a disaster for you. Fresh supply is slowing, which tends to be supportive of prices on those pieces. If you've been running high volume bulk grading on modern cards, this is the moment to probably reassess whether that model still works at the new price points. For most people, it doesn't, but keep a close watch on the market. And if you've got a batch ready to send, I say don't panic. Don't rush into the wrong tier. Wait, watch the backlog tracker, and only submit when it justifies the cost. If you found this breakdown useful, drop a comment below. I want to hear what you're doing with your grading plans right now. Are you going to switch to CGC, holding off entirely, or paying the premium at regular tier for specific cards? And for those who are new here, this is the Chill the Chase, where we help passionate card collectors make smarter decisions in this hype-driven hobby. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.